Got a full agenda, so I think we're going to go ahead and let Johan and Dewan pop in when they can. If we're ready, I heard the recording in progress. We're set to go.
You are live.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's meeting of the Land Use and Building Committee of the City Council of Norwalk. I'm going to call tonight's meeting to order. I'm your new chair, Colin Hostin, and by way of roll call, we are joined tonight by our new vice chair, Brian Bailey, Jan Degenshine, Nicole Eady, and Jim Frere, along with our city staff and other attendees whom I may not be able to see. Okay, and so we will go right into tonight's agenda with the acceptance of the minutes from which meeting would this be from? This we didn't have a meeting. Was this from the December meeting?
Yes.
I think so.
Okay, great. I wasn't there, clearly.
I'll move the minutes.
Thanks, Jim. Is there any discussion or corrections or comments about the minutes?
Can people vote on the minutes if they weren't there?
I think it's best not to. You can abstain,
Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah, we typically just abstain from voting.
Okay, great.
Hearing and seeing no discussion, correction, or comment, I will call for a vote. All in favor of approving the minutes from December 2025. Please raise your hand or say aye. One and two. All opposed, all abstaining. All right, so I think that carries. Uh, there's more for than against. Okay. Moving on to public participation. Are there any members of the public who are here to speak? Please raise your digital hand.
Miss
Good
Larchello,
evening.
yeah.
Thank you. Good evening, Chair Hostin and the rest of the council members and staff. I am stepping away from my birthday celebration, so I'm out in a courtyard. So I apologize if there's any honking of horns or any other background noise. For the record, my name is Diane Lauricella, 21 Little Fox Lane. The reason I wanted to speak today is that I have whoops, long, sorry, long-term interest in the matter related to our clean energy policies of the city. I've had numerous discussions over many years with both Alan, Tom Livingston, the former chair. Didn't have as much time to speak with Barbara Smith. She was temporarily the chair. But tonight I wanted to talk about two things. The first has to do with G1, which is the Sono School. I had proposed that we look at a net zero energy school right at the beginning of the design phase, and that was denied. I'm very disappointed that we are not able to come to conclusions about ground mounted because of the geography it lent to it. I just wanted to say in your documents that I read, the tax credits it is incorrect that we do not have access to them. We are considered commercial, and I believe we have till July 1st to get tax credits for solar. And I will talk with Alan offline. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the issue of, on page 2 of a 5-page letter, Norwalk is an urban area that has limited land for solar generation. I respectfully disagree. We have plenty of both parking lots and we have plenty of rooftops that still have the potential. Excuse me? Oh, lastly, I just wanted to say, related to the Norwalk High School update, I ask that you please do not allow for the carport system to be removed from the project. I would like it to be revisited because I know many other towns and cities are able to install and have a carport system. I think from the get-go, I find that the staff has been leaning against this. And of course, they have a report for you, but I am a member of the Connecticut Energy Network, comprised of people that, like me, are in the environmental consulting business. And I recommend to my clients how to green up their construction programs and projects. I lastly wanted to have an answer soon, and I again will take this offline, and that is, why is there such a lag time in our solar policy from the moment that we open a building and get the permits? It takes, according to policy that Alan and others, they do not install and turn on a solar array for almost a year, or a little over a year, like the Cranberry School, from the moment the building is opened. So these are things in the future. Many of you, I just didn't have time to talk with you. Mr. Degenshine and Ms. Nicole Eady have some background in solar. I look forward to speaking with you offline. Please don't give permission to remove the canopy just yet at Norwalk High School. I don't agree with the logic. Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. Happy birthday. Thanks for joining us on your birthday.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, Joanne Lopez needs to be moved over to panelist.
Thanks, Jim. Also recognizing Councilwoman Darlene Young has joined us. I see a hand from Mr. Brian Meek.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Meek.
Okay. I was trying to share my video, but that's okay. Good evening, Brian Meek, 11 Cranberry Woods Road. I'd like to speak to item 7A on tonight's agenda, school construction projects update. First, the new Sono School is beautiful, albeit very expensive, but looks great. I see Norwalk High coming along. The reason I'm addressing you tonight, I know back in October, Mr. Lowe had forecasted that we were going to understand cost overruns related to the project. I believe that is long overdue. We are still working off of a 2019 forecast prior to a 25% increase in inflation adjustments. And I'm concerned, deeply concerned, that we are going to run aground of finances on this project. I think we need more transparency as taxpayers into the issue. I would love to hear about that. As you know, 60%, 80%, whatever the number on construction reimbursement, does not include cost of capital. We've laid out hundreds of millions of dollars in the last few years at 5% interest rates that we are not going to get reimbursed for. And the longer these things go on, the deeper that hole becomes. And I really would like to know, as a taxpayer, and I believe a lot of my fellow taxpayers would like to know, some financials on this project. It's the single largest project in the city's history, and we've yet to see anything about actual costs incurred to date, monies that need to be spent, monies that have been or have not been reimbursed from the state, and we are just lacking total transparency on this. So I'd really appreciate some effort into giving us some more information on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Meek. Are there any other attendees who would like to comment?
There are not.
Thank you, Ms. Bird. I want to welcome our colleagues, Councilman Jalen Seed and Councilman Johan Lopez. So we will close public comment and go into our meeting agenda. There's no old business, thankfully. We'll go right into new business. And our first item, I think is very helpful for both our new and returning council members, including myself, which is an overview of the structure and responsibilities of the Office of Building Management. I will ask Mr. Alan Lowe to take it away. Still on mute. You're still on mute, Alan.
Sorry about that. Good evening, everybody. I'm Alan Lowe and staff to this committee. I've been a head of Office of Building Management for a number of years, and I've been a city employee for, I think it's 43 years. In any event, and Joanne works with me. Generally speaking, in terms of city staff-wise, Office of Building Management, staff-wise, just the two of us that are city employee. the different divisions we have, it's all contracted out services. So very brief. I think I'm going to take about 10 minutes to 15 minutes to go over to provide overview of what this department do and what the land use and building management committee's responsibilities are. Joanne, can you blow up the write-up, the next one?
Are you able to see that?
Yeah, but
Okay.
the other folder.
Oh.
The write-up.
Oh, you want the write-up? Okay. Here?
Yeah, you can enlarge it a little bit.
Yeah,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
So basically, the Office of Building Management has three functions. Building management, generally speaking, is just managing the operation of city building, municipal buildings, and excluding school buildings. So we're responsible, operation of the building and maintenance, and processing payments and everything else in between, and improvements, everything else between. The other responsibility is management of municipal building construction. So what we are responsible for is, besides police headquarters, fire headquarters, library, we also do all the school buildings. So school building is a little bit interesting because the education program is developed by Board of Education, and when you go through the initial process, the city, the building management department becomes the entity that manages it, and the Board of Education becomes, generally speaking, an end user of the project. But we work hand to hand together, and they participate in all the design process as well as construction process. And after we finish the building, the school building get turned back to the Board of Education for operations. So building management do not get involved in building maintenance and operation thereafter. The third responsibility is actually acquisition and disposition of city property. So again, there are times that we don't do every piece of property. There are things that refer to this committee, but there are other times that, like, another division, maybe recreation part or DPW, may get more involved in a acquisition for utility reasons or other reasons. They may go and go through that process. But generally speaking, Land Use and Building Management Committee is the entity that works on the land acquisition and disposition. Can you go up a little bit, right, please? Go up higher. Go further up, please. So when you talk about building management, the first right there, first responsibility is maintaining buildings. So this is a list of all the buildings that we work on, which includes, I know it's a little redundant, we threw the City Hall, Health Department, Norwalk Museum. Norwalk Museum is actually, we used to call them Lockwood House, but it's on the same parking lot as City Hall. So you see that little building on the side of City Hall parking lot. That building looks historic, but it's actually a 1970s building. But it's done very, very traditionally kind of building. So it's the Norwalk Museum, police headquarters, fire headquarters, Belden Library, South North Library, and the next three is a three center. They used to be schools: Nathaniel Ely Center, Ben Franklin, and Roosevelt. Nathaniel Ely is an early childhood program. Ben Franklin is released it out to a Crystal Theater. There's also a gym in there, and also there's nonprofit groups in there that lease out 2 floors in the building. And the bottom floor is actually early childhood daycare center. That's Ben Franklin. Roosevelt, basically a senior center, and also NECC, Norwalk Early Childhood Center, that operate by Board of Education. And there's also some space in there that actually used by Recreation and Parks Department. Thereafter, DPW Garage and Dispatch Center, also an animal shelter. And most recently, we're in the process of finishing up Norwalk Recreation Center, which is 98 South Main Street. There's a couple other buildings. It's a Fort Tito Court, which is a property we acquired some time ago. We are, generally speaking, provide some we don't actually maintain the building. It's kind of abandoned, but at the same time, we go check on it once a week to make sure that nobody break into the building. 127 Phillips Street, which used to be the we always call this the Moss property. The city acquired at 127 Phillips Street, and I think the strategy is to sell that piece of property sometime in the near future. But at the same time, is that we do provide checking on the building, and there's grounds to maintain and stuff like that. We also work on support the historic commission and various historic building within the city. So these are all the facilities that under building management. You go to number 2. So in terms of building operation and maintenance, we have about 6 staff persons that we consider to be building staff. They do filter changes and moving furniture and miscellaneous repair. Some little bit like work, handyman kind of tasks in terms of building maintenance and repair. And can you go down a little bit more? Next page. Okay, so there's six staff person that go through all and also that we have 1, 2, 3 people in house in City Hall that that's outside contractor consultant, Guardian Services, who does provide management services in terms of when there's service request comes in and dispatching the staff to do repair and maintenance on the building. So altogether, it's 9 people in the building management side. Again, it's contracted and to Guardian Services, and I think the contract is 5-year or 2-year options, which is going to be up in probably a couple more years. And then the third responsibility under this is janitorial services. And the janitorial, and we do not provide janitorial service for all the building. And this is a list of some of the buildings that we're responsible for. And the level of service is different from different buildings. So I won't go into it because it's just too complex. But generally speaking, of all the building we do, we don't do janitorial service for a number of these other buildings. Some of the building that we are not responsible for, it's actually the fire stations. We have five stations in the city. Headquarters, we do the administration portion of the fire headquarters, but not the fireman spaces. And also, we do not provide services to the individual fire departments. And this is part of your attachment to the backup information to the agenda, but it's going into a little more detail about what we do for each for the building and services we provide. Joanne, can you move down further there? I'm not going to go into detail. It's all written up here. Construction projects. So again, generally speaking, just me and Joanne are 2 staff persons responsible for building construction projects. But when a project is over $15 million or so, we do contract it out to a firm right now for a number of years, probably like for 7, to our construction solution group. I think Jim is it's in attendance tonight. Jim Giuliano.
I'm here.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Alan, I regret to inform you, in April, CSG will be involved with the city of Norwalk for 9 years.
Oh, 9 years.
Yeah, I know. You've enjoyed it so much that you think time is flying. So
You're using that term very loosely. Yeah. So we start with 2017, I think it is.
correct.
Oh, that's 17. Okay. Yeah, it is 9 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So it's a we go out for RFP, I think probably like twice, at least, or 3 times already, kind of thing. And we go for this process selection, and basically what Jim's office provides is called program management services. So they're not construction contractor. They don't do it's really just providing staffing to manage major construction projects. the advantage is that, you know, as project comes in and finish and stuff, the city can work with Jim's office to reduce staff and increase staff as necessary so that we don't carry permanent staff and have to, you know, terminate staff if there's not enough work going on kind of thing. So it gives the city some fluctuation in terms of flexibility, in terms of staff level. So it's been very successful in terms of managing and implementing projects for the last 9 years, right? Is that what you said?
Correct.
So can you go down, Joanne, can you move down a little bit more, please? So let's go into a little bit of it. And also for school construction projects, the construction management services with Jim's fees are reimbursable by the state as part of the school construction project. So which is financially is also a benefit to the city, even though, you know, we hire them separately, but at the same time it is reimbursable. The city traditional school construction project, traditional reimbursable rates from the state, it's 32%. And for renovation work, for new construction, traditionally were 22%. About 2 years ago, 3 years ago, the state has approved a state legislation that changed Norwalk's reimbursable rate to 60%. So our first project that was being implemented under the 60% reimbursable rate is actually South Norwalk School. Norwalk High School is a little different. There was a special legislation. Norwalk High School is actually reimbursed at 80%. So it's substantial in terms of our ability to recoup the cost of the construction. So anyway, so these are some of the projects listed here that we've recently completed in the last 7 years or so, kind of thing. Started with Pona School. We did an addition to a lower school. And the values are listed here. Jefferson School renovation. Again, recently is New Cranberry School. That's probably 2 years now. We completed. Maritime Aquarium is a separate project that I work on. It's we built a new, because of the walk bridge project. We had to build a new 4D theater, as well as we did the excuse me. We did the seal tanks. That project was $40 million, and recently completed last fall. It's actually the Lockwood Matthews Mansion Museum. It's total $18 million for that project. And ongoing project is South Norwalk School, which we finished last September. Norwalk High School is ongoing. Then also we're working on 6 HVAC. HVAC means heating, ventilation, and air conditioning project. So we are working on 6 school projects, and that total about $35 million. We also finishing up. I guess we are actually doing final closeout on Cranberry Park Gallagher Mansion renovation project. It's $5 million, and that's all state money. There's no city money involved in that project. And you also been hearing and seeing the new community recreation center, which is the old 98 South Main Street building, which is the old Neon building. And that's about $15.5 million. And currently we're working the design planning for renovation of the Westport Avenue Fire Station. I think they call it Station 4, right? So what is that project is budgeted, it's all city money, it's budgeted $4 million. And also lastly on this list is actually the Calpatrick Beach. We're doing renovation to the old shower locker room area kind of thing. That's $1.4 million, all right? Can you go down a little bit, please? Yeah, $1.4 million. And it's a little bit note to our future projects. We for the last couple of years, we've been talking about long-term planning, school improvement planning, for what the 60% reimbursable rate is actually approved by the state for 25 years. So that's why we call this the 25-year school improvement plan. So we've been talking about it, but the plan hasn't been fully developed. But as part of those conversation, you may have heard this recently about one of the top priority projects is actually West Rock School. Try to build a new West Rock School, and it's complicated. It's projected to be about $125 million. But at the same time, it's because originally we were going to start looking at potentially submitting this project to the state before the end of June 30 of this year. But recently, the state approved a incentive to get an additional 5% incentive. So instead of 60% would be reimbursed with 65%. And because that additional potential reimbursement, the finance department did a cost analysis and felt that it would be desirable to hold up 1 year, even though there's annual cost increases. The city would net some additional savings by waiting in 1 year. So that's kind of, generally speaking, that was the decision made that we're going to look to submit that project to say in 2027 instead of 2026. So that's West Rock School. That's the next project coming up. And as part of the school construction project, swing space is one of the biggest challenge. So we are looking at how we're going to solve those issues when we do a major school construction project. When there's enough land on the property similar to Cranberry School, we basically build a new school on the same property and then tear down the existing one. But for property that does not have a lot of grounds, we really have to find a place to move all the kids first and consolidate in different location and then did the renovation and move the kids back. So it's a very challenging strategy that we have to develop. So that's something that we are considering when we look at this planning or development of a 25-year school improvement plan. The other thing that came in conversation recently, it's a Marine police facility. We need to look for a new facility for them. And also in the past few years, there have been discussion about Belden Avenue Library Improvement Project. We don't know where that's going at this point, but at the same time is that it has been part of this topic of discussion in past years. The third task that this committee does is leasing and acquisition and disposition of property. Contrary to most people's knowledge, the city does not have a lot of leases. It's not like we have tons of real estate and we release it to different organizations and a private sector kind of thing. I think generally speaking, we have about 40 leases, so it's not substantial. But at the same time, because the number is low, we don't have a very, lack of a better word, organized management methods and process, and especially with today's technology changes in lease management software and all that stuff. So we are looking, building management office, as well as working with finance department, controller's office, and the mayor's office. For the last couple of years, we've been looking at ways to improve our process in terms of managing city leases. So there is improvement that we're looking at to do this task better. But again, it's not like we have 200 leases, 300 leases, and it's a big issue, but it's significant of issue that we need to do better in terms of managing these leases. So we actually adopted a new software package, and we start inputting information so that we can track rental payments and lease expirations and all that stuff. So it's a ongoing process that we're working on. In terms of acquisition and disposition, acquisition comes in when there's a need for the city. So it's not, until that happens, there's nothing to list. But on the other hand, we do have some property that is kind of on our radar in terms of that we're looking to potentially lease out or sell, kind of thing. One is a cross street property parking lot. This is across from Cablevision. We own a piece of property lot that we lease it to Cross Street. Not Cross Street, the Optimum, I think. Cablevision. Also 127 Philo Street. And the other one is the Old Bricks High School on Main Avenue. And also a few years ago, we acquired 4 Tito Court and 10 Tito Court. But 4 Tito Court, basically, the building is abandoned. We boarded it up. And I think we need to determine how whether the city will have future use for that property or we were just going to sell this. So there are going to be discussion upcoming for this committee as well with the administration to see how best to address these property. With that, I think this is something. Joanne, could you just show the organization chart a little bit just to kind of recap? You zoom out a little bit. There it goes. Yeah, so this is basically what we just talked about. You know, there's different departments and commissions kind of contribute to the requests coming to land use, whether it's historic commission or parks department or police department. When they do have building requests, they would submit the request to the city. So that's the first box on the left. And then Office of Building Management, generally speaking, we respond with 21 buildings. And we contract out to Guardian Services, and they provide staffing. And the three tasks that below that is what we just went through: building engineering services, janitorial service, and building management office staff. These are city property is a function that the building management department handles, and also and will feed back up to the land use and building management committee. Acquisition and disposition of property, and then major school and municipal building construction. And it was, as I mentioned, it's Jim Giuliano is the construction solution group, is help us to provide program management services. And then when we do this project, we engage in the end user, which is most of the times the departments. And then we go out and hire a construction manager, which is traditionally would be a general contractor, but in today's world, a large project is handled by a construction manager. And then also we go and solicit RFP out for architects and engineer for design services. So generally speaking, that's a quick overview of what building management department doing and the responsibility of a land use and building management committee. Does anybody have any questions? I know I just keep blopping out.
Yeah, first of all, I was just say thank you, Alan. That was extremely thorough. I think if anybody had any doubts or questions about what this Office of Building Management does, and it's almost like you've been doing this for 40 years, right? I do want to open it up to my colleagues to see if anybody has any questions. I see Mr. Dagenshine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a couple of small questions that I would like to have answered by Mr. Lowe, if possible. One of them is really small. When I drive past City Hall at night, and I've had occasion to do that quite frequently since joining the council, there is no lighting of the sign designating City Hall. It seems to me that it creates a bit of a hardship for somebody who is driving and trying to find for the first time or the second time where to turn to get to City Hall from East Avenue. So I was wondering if there's a reason why that happened.
Some answer question. Simple. The sign we based from East Avenue, we only have a ground sign at the intersection of Sunset,
yes,
and East Avenue. That sign has a floodlight on it, kind of thing. But it's not a directional sign. It's a more identification. It doesn't tell you where to park or anything. You just say City Hall. And I think that recently we added a little sign underneath about concert hall related issue function. But it really, generally speaking, it's that floodlight should be on. So maybe it's not on. Maybe that's what it is. But we do not have a directional sign to show people this is how you enter the parking lot.
Well, I'm not looking for a directional sign. If there's a floodlight, the floodlight hasn't been on for the last 2 months, at least.
I thought there's a floodlight. Let me double check. Maybe I spoke incorrectly, but I'll find out.
Okay. The second one is I do serve on the ADA implementation committee, and I was wondering if you have a role in the actual contracting and construction of the small projects that are done through that committee.
Yes and no. We work with Bill regularly in terms of Neil Rennie from our office. We work on many different projects together. when we work on these larger projects, our design services, our consultant, architects, and all are fully knowledgeable and recognize the requirement, ADA requirement. So all the new building we design is fully compliant with federal laws. Basically, it's not even a building code; it's a federal regulation. So we are fully aware and responsible for compliance. So there's no issue there. But in terms of working with Bill, we do work with him regularly. But it's a certain project, he takes more of a role than we do. But generally speaking, construction project, we take care of it. We actually bid it out for him. We actually help manage the construction, the contractor, and he comes to our office regularly. And there's a very close relationship between my office and his office.
That's very helpful to know. Thank you. And the third thing is just a comment. We had two people from the public who commented. I know both of them, and should I run into them in the street sometime, I'd love to be able to respond to the questions they had. And I was wondering if somebody among us in this meeting would be able to address those questions so that they could be fairly answered.
I'll just jump in, Jen, and say, yeah, both of those items that were commented on are on tonight's agenda. And so when we get to, I think that Brian had questions about G1 and G2, and Diane had a question about solar panels. I'd like to address those as they come up in the agenda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey, Vice Chair.
Vice Chair, thank you. Hey, Alan, thank you very much for that great overview. And can you send us that document? And I don't know if is already sent out and I missed it, but I'd love to get a copy of that just as a resource going forward.
It is included in our backup for tonight, Brian. We can resend
Perfect.
it. Yeah,
That's great. No, I'll look for it. I'll get it.
no problem.
Yeah,
Thank you
generally speaking, just for a little bit of process-wise, this committee meets every first Wednesday of each month at 7 o'clock, and we try to get the agenda out by Thursday afternoon to the extent possible the week before. Joanne typically issue that agenda as a notification to all the committee members. At the same time, that's the day we post it on the website. So
Great.
they're accessible at that point. Tonight's agenda is a little longer than we typical. We usually spend probably about hour to hour and 15 minutes on the meeting. Is that right, or more? If I go on talking, that's what the problem is. I need to stop myself sometimes.
Yeah.
But other than that, that's so we will send it out. And again, when the agenda is long, sometimes I don't think the city actually blocks it. I think as you the council members are part of the on the city's system, so it shouldn't be. I think you should be able to get it from the from emails and stuff like that. We don't send out the full document, Joanne. We don't send out a full document. We just send a link, or you're on mute.
We did get the full document out. I think
okay.
Brian can just double check his email.
Yeah, I
exactly.
attach it.
Yeah, I didn't look. It's on me.
No, that's
User
all right.
error.
You didn't know who to look for either. So some random person sending you an email. So now you know.
Hardly
Now we
right.
know.
Just a little more
Thank you.
process. Traditionally, the council never had like a Brian's position, which is
Vice Chair.
Vice Chair.
vice chair.
Very
Right?
important.
So I really don't know how that relationship is, but typically, what I do is prior to issuing the agenda, I usually communicate with the chairperson of the committee. So I don't know. Again, I would work with
I think
Brian to figure out what my responsibility in terms of notify the co-chair. I mean, not co-chair, but the vice chair kind of thing. But it's a little bit of a learning curve for me.
Me too.
I think it's new for all of us, and if we can include Brian on those communications, Alan, that would be very helpful.
Okay.
Mr. Frere.
I just had a quick question, Alan. Is the new property we just bought on Keeler Creek and Connecticut Avenue, is that going to be under your purview as well? That's where the
Say that one
building-
more time. I'm sorry.
on where Keeler Creek and Connecticut Avenue, where they're building the new pump station. WPCA is building new pump station. Is that going to be under your responsibility as well?
All I know is the Connecticut Avenue,
Yeah.
493. I think that's what we
think so.
acquired the property recently. The
Yep.
only part that I was asked to help out a little bit is actually demolition of the building. The construction of the new facility, it's generally speaking, it's underground kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's under the DPW and slash wastewater treatment authority.
Right.
So DPW asked me to help out in terms of demolition of building, but I may or may not. We are continuing having conversation because I'm not sure in these two separate entity as well as two separate processes, the demolition and building new. I think it may be more efficient that as part of the construction project, there's as part of the bid package, you include a demolition of the existing building. So there's no one entity go in demolition building. Now you got to protect the site, and then another group comes in, and maybe a few months later kind of thing. I think it's better coordination. We do it as a one project instead of two separate groups doing different things at different phases.
Right.
So we are having those conversations.
Okay. Just curious. Because you don't have that much to do. That's why I figured.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it too.
Councilmember Edie.
Thank you so much. Gonna make my comments real quick. First, I just want to say congratulations to Colin as chair on this committee. He's been on the council before, and I really look forward to being under his leadership as I continue on this land use committee. So also appreciate everything Alan and Joanne do. Thank you. I know you guys are very busy, but just listening to the public comments about the cost of the breakdown of the school, is that something we can get, updated information on that? Any issues or any cost overruns or whatever, we could get that information for the sake of transparency. That would be helpful.
Yes. I mean, I don't mean to make it that simple, but yes.
Yeah, that's fine. Nope, that's fine. Yes, it's fine.
Very clearly. I mean, you folks are the city council, so I do work for you, the council and the mayor kind of. So the information you are requesting, Brian is requesting, it's public information. So there's no issue or nothing to hide.
Right? No. I understand that.
Yeah,
sometimes like people might not read or pay attention as closely as some other people. So I'm just saying maybe you could do an easier little breakdown of what's going on in in an updated fashion. That would be helpful. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do carry these budget numbers are known to us, and we can provide those summary occasionally. I think we do update our budget. Jim's office actually does some of that. Dan Phillip is the person in charge of for us. Dan Phillip, he's at this meeting tonight. He does provide a full budget accounting portion of it. I think one of the questions that Brian, Mr. Meek was asking about is that because the Norwalk High School, we're not at that project right now, but just very briefly, when we start a major project like this, is the largest construction project the city of Norwalk actually undergoing, whatever. It started 2019, I think it is roughly. It's a long process. So when we actually go through the design phases, go out to bid, at the time of the bidding, we don't bid out every trace. There's about, I would say, 8 trays that we actually never bid out. It's like furniture. It's too early, like 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, whatever it may be, kind of thing. We didn't bid out furniture. We don't bid out like technology, some of the technology stuff, because we're just too early. We also did not bid out at that point the demolition of the existing building, because again, people are projecting costs. When the contractor projecting what the future may be, kind of thing, they have a tendency to they need to protect themselves. So they're not giving you a good price or best pricing because it's too far down the road. They need to protect. If they submit a bid, they need to protect themselves in case cost of whatever goes up. They become financially responsible. So certain packages we did not bid out back like 2 or 3 years ago. So we are projecting that those packages need to go out in another a couple of months. Actually, there is a capital budget request that we're requesting as part of the upcoming capital budget process. So there will be a summary of all where we are, what we spend the money on, and all that stuff being provided as part of these upcoming capital budget requests. I believe it's about 8% higher of that. About half the money is actually for contingency amount. So we will provide more detailed information, but just since this is brought up, I just want to quickly mention that, yes, we are requesting the balance of the money that needed to do that project. And the project is being funded by the state at a reimbursable rate of 80%. And again, the money we're requesting, I think half is for contingency because we ran into like polluted soil. And also we're still concerned about potential when we demolish the existing building. It's likely that we'll hit ledge. So we need to consider that. So we want the budgets accordingly to protect the project in terms of unforeseen conditions.
Thank you, Alan. And that's a great question that was brought up in public comment tonight. Thank you, Councilmember Edie, for bringing it up. I'm going to suggest that to avoid getting information piecemeal or getting approximate figures, I really appreciate Alan having his head on top of everything. Maybe we can add this as an agenda item to our February meeting and present it all together as updated costs for both the Norwalk High School and South Norwalk Elementary School. Is that okay, Alan?
Sure. You mean March, not February.
I'm sorry, March. I have no idea what day it is. Jim?
And since we talk, I know we're jumping around a little bit. Since we're talking Norwalk High School, I do have I was speaking to the Board of Education member facility committee last week, I think it is. I think there's a lot of interest. Being Norwalk High School is a significant project for the city. It's kind of interesting. I think I suggested that maybe we want to do a tour of the building. It's very impressive. It's
great.
And I was thinking that since we are the Board of Education as well as the City Council and administration is going to be looking at funding that we need to complete the financial package for the building. I thought that would be a good idea by end of this month we would do a tour of the building to see the scale of this building and what the schedule. I mean, do a walkthrough of the construction. I thought it's something that's very interesting. I think I asked in conversation with Mayor Relling before he left office. I asked him if he wanted to take a look at it. He said yeah. So he went and took a look. He came back like a kid from a candy store. He was so excited. So I thought that by towards the end of this month, since we're looking at the capital budget and see what the balance of the money that we're requesting for, where it's going to go, how it's going to be spent, I think it's important for everybody to get a hands-on look at what we're spending money on instead of just talking about it kind of thing. So I mean, we can show picture, we can show that, but walking through the building, understand the scale of this building is 300,000 square feet. It's like elementary school for us is probably around 60,000 square feet. So it's like 5 times the size of an elementary school. So it is a substantial building that we're working on, and also the grounds and the athletic fields that we're going to reconstruct after this. So I think it would be desirable for us to kind of walk through it. So I'm thinking about inviting the common council members, well, city council member, I guess that's the new term. I still use common council, city council member as well as board of ed members, and do a tour. I think I'm going to just set it up as a day, probably after 3 o'clock on one day kind of thing. Not everybody could make it, but you know what? I think with your permission, I think I just establish a date and time, and then whoever can attend, and we can also do another one. The project is scheduled to open in the fall of 2027. So we're still about a year and a half away. After we move in the fall of 2027, then we're going to start doing demolition of the parking lot and then demolition of existing building. And then we got to construct the new athletic facility. So the full completion, it's going to be the fall of 2028, with the exception of the tennis courts, which will be finished in the spring of 2029.
You're stealing Jim's thunder. Now he doesn't have to show his monthly report.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a terrific idea, Alan.
Yeah.
Alan, and if we can set that up, I know many of us
Yeah.
would be excited to put on a hard hat and
Yeah.
walk through. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll be in touch.
Thanks, Joanne.
Mhm.
Back to you, Jim.
I just wanted to quickly mention that what Brian Meek was alluding to also was he was concerned about overruns at the end, particularly the fact that when we do get our reimbursements, we're not going to get our reimbursements probably for possibly a year or so after completion of the school. And then there are some exemption. There's a retainage that's maintained by the state, and they may disqualify some of the things. So I think one of the things that I've asked Jared to do is that when we go through the capital budget, to try to get us an idea of what any kind of exposure that we have there too. So that's another place that we can see the same information that he was looking for.
Jim, do you mind
Yeah.
talking about reimbursement so that people don't have to listen to me all night long?
No.
Sure. So we get reimbursement from the state throughout the project. So it's not a lump sum after the project is over. So the city is being reimbursed their reimbursement rate of 60, or on the high school 80% minus, as you said, Jim, a 5% retainage. There are certain elements of the project that are not reimbursable, but that is all worked into our calculations in terms of what we're expecting back from the state in terms of the reimbursable expenses. But at the end of the project, when we submit our final payment request, and I know you kind of alluded to it, there is a audit that is done by the state. So we'll submit our final payment request, which will be 75% of the project cost, because the state withholds the 5%. And that 5% will be held for until such time as the state does the audit. Now, on a good note is we just went through audits for Ponus and Jefferson, which were much quicker than what we were used to in the past. What we were used to in the past were once we submitted a final payment request, it could take up to 7-8 years before you had an audit from the state. In the case of Ponus and Jefferson, it was 4 years and 3 years respectively. So we're pleased in that we're getting more response from the state, a quicker response after a final payment request has been submitted. The other thing too is we are submitting payment requests more frequently than we have in the past. Actually, one of the things we saw that state was changing their payment request process, and it was becoming much more laborious and taking up our project manager's time. So we went out and hired a specialist that understands municipal financing, and brought her on to specifically focus on state payment requests. So that way, the project managers can watch over the project and watch over change orders and making sure that the project is moving forward without any delays. And at the same time, we are also making sure that the payments are going in, or payment requests to the state are going in on a regular basis. So that's where we are with in the process with regards to state payments.
Yeah, and Jim, your comment about reimbursement for the state. 80% of $200 million is quite a bit of money. So we will be getting, like Jim said, we'll be getting interim reimbursement. But at the end of the day, holding 5% of the 5% of the 80% is significant amount of money. And then we have interest, we have to pay interest on it. So this conversation with, I had a conversation with Jared probably like, I would say 6 to 9 months ago. And I think he is fully aware of this financial like burden the city have in terms of carrying the withholding by the state. So I think he went through approval for, I think maybe like $17 million because we had to upfront that money until the state go through the audit and release the balance of the money after the audit kind of thing. So he's fully aware of this issue, and financially he's taking consideration how to manage that financial burden that we have in terms of the retainage that the state is holding for like maybe 4 or 5 years after we complete the project. So we did have those conversations, and he has taken steps to manage that the financial concern.
No, I was just bringing it up because I thought it was a good point that he does do that, particularly when he's going through the capital budget. And the other thing is that, we've got to remember that on every one of these contracts, we've got about at least a 10% contingency that we've added to it. So, and your track record is phenomenal in coming in under budget and always having enough funds that we can cover those minor overages when we do have it. So I'm very comfortable with the numbers.
I think it's a very worthy discussion, and I appreciate. I do think I would again advocate for making it this financial update an agenda item in our March meeting, and so we can go all in on it. Mr. Bailey, you're on mute. You're on mute, Brian.
I was going to add on the March meeting, and again, I'll send this in an email to Alan, and it might be great. It would be helpful to have a flow of funds around the timing of how the money goes between the state and the city, in interaction with finance, and what's the sort of incremental cost during the period too. So, but I'll follow up with Alan and maybe Jared as well in terms of what information would be helpful in March.
That would be super helpful. Thanks, Brian. Yeah, I think if we can ask questions so that we can make sure that those answers are presented in our public meeting, it'll help us and anybody who's paying attention. All right. Well, that was an excellent overview and synopsis of what this department does, what this committee is tasked with. I'd like to keep us going along on the agenda. I just welcome our colleagues, Councilmember Wiggins and Councilmember Dellinger, who have joined us. And so up next is a request to schedule a public hearing for the naming of the children's room at the Belden Main Library in memory of Celeste Scar. I'd like to move this item and just preface by thanking the president of the Library Commission for sharing the Library Board, sorry, for sharing a really detailed memo about this. The City of Norwalk does have a set of procedures and criteria for naming any part of public buildings after an individual. That criteria includes scheduling a public hearing, and tonight we are asked to approve a public hearing for this particular renaming. But Ms. Noor, I'd like to invite you if you wanted to add anything from your wonderful memo.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Moya Noor. Like Chair Holston said, I'm the president of the Norwalk Public Library Board. I reside at 15 Pequot Drive. I'm also joined by my colleague Janie Williams, fellow board member and treasurer of the board. I think she might be in the attendees. And I'm also joined by Randall Gar and Laura Kalman, who are also in the attendees. The Norwalk Public Library Board requests that the Land Use Committee authorize a public hearing at its March 3rd meeting on the proposed naming of a room within the Norwalk Library as the Celeste Y. Garr Children's Reading Room, contingent upon the receipt of a testamentary gift from the W. Randall Garr and Laura Kalman Living Trust. The council's naming ordinance establishes that individuals honored through facility naming should have made a significant contribution to the community through public service and is respected for their accomplishments and good conduct. The ordinance also directs that consideration shall be given to individuals, recent individuals, and those with historic ties to the city. Celeste Y. Garr meets these criteria. She was an educator in the Norwalk Public Schools, dedicating her professional life to teaching the city's children. She was a lifelong advocate for literacy and accessible education. Her family's roots in Norwalk extend back over 100 years. She herself attended Norwalk Public Schools, graduating as valedictorian. After attending UConn, she intentionally chose to return home to teach and raise her family here. She lived on Apple Street until 2005, more than 80 years of personal residence and service to the community. Throughout her life, the library was a cornerstone of her commitment to education and community. And the library was one of her favorite places, and she made it a central part of her children's lives. When the library made computers available to the public, she was eager to learn email and embrace all new technologies that are available to the library. As Mr. Garr states, his mother really believed in the institution of the library. So I would invite you to hear from a little bit from Mr. Garr himself, and my colleague, I said Janie Williams is also here. And if you have any questions about the gift, Darren, Assistant Corporation Counsel Darren Callahan is also here to answer any of your questions. Is there a way to make Mr. Garr move for him from attendee to participant to panelist?
Yes, I just moved him over.
Okay.
Thank you, Moiner. So should we hear from Jenny Williams?
Good evening. It's Janie Williams.
Janie, thank you.
Yes, I want to say that I am a Norwalk Public Library and the board treasurer, and I'm here to garner support to name a room at the Norwalk Public Library after Celeste Y. Garr. I know that Mona just went over some of her obituary, not her obituary, but her biography, and I was going to read her obituary, but I think she covered most of that already. So, as I mentioned, her son, I spoke to him, Dr. Randy Garr. He is a man who I had brief conversations over the past few months. Not only is he a wonderful gentleman, I can tell you that his mother appreciated the city of Norwalk and the Norwalk Public Library, and instilled in her family the gift of reading and learning through the use of the library. This must have deeply resonated with Dr. Garr to the point that he would like to give the same gift to the children of Norwalk through a generous donation to the Norwalk Public Library Foundation to honor his mother by having a room named after her. His love of the library and resonated with our slogan, I love Norwalk. Therefore, I hope you will consider naming a room in the Norwalk Library after Mr. Garr's mother, Celeste Y. Garr. Thank you for your consideration.
And thank you, Janie. I want to just note, just for posterity tonight, that we are considering moving this for public comment, not necessarily approving the naming tonight. This would be a motion to schedule a public hearing. And so, Mr. Garr, thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for helping to set all this in motion. I don't know if you wanted to add anything to some of the wonderful comments about Celeste.
I I don't have much to say beyond the memo. When my wife and I were constructing our trust, I was thinking about a way to honor my mother in a way that would be substantive or substantive enough. And when we hit on the idea of the library, I just got this feeling that my mother would just smile that she would have a name, or she would have a room or marker in the library, which she used all the time. The only other thing I'd add is I'm grateful to all of you who have been involved with this proposal. I'm grateful to the committee for considering it. And if you have any questions, I guess I can answer them. Like I said, or like Ms. Noor said, my family goes back. Well, we were in residence in Norwalk at least from 1900 to 2005. My 3 generations. So I think this is like an appropriate way to honor my mother and to do something good for the town that she said was very good to her. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mr. Gar. Thank you for being here with us and for giving us the opportunity to really consider the wonderful contributions of your mother. Tonight, we are asked to move this request to a public hearing. Are there any questions or comments or reactions from my colleagues on the committee? All right. Well, oh, there we go. Mr. Degenshine.
Jen, you're on
Jen, you're
mute.
muted.
I just wanted to thank Mr. Gar and the trust for bringing this forward. It's a very generous offer, and what it does is it continues the legacy of generosity of the Gar family in Norwalk. My only comment is great appreciation. Thank you.
Yeah. I would just like to, sorry, are there other comments, questions? I would like to echo that. I think moving this to a public hearing is a very appropriate way to hear from Celeste's neighbors and fellow citizens and residents on the legacy that she has left. I'm going to make one comment just for the record, so I think we can move into the public hearing with a clear understanding. As noted in the excerpt of the Norwalk City Charter that was shared with tonight's agenda, the process for renaming a building or part thereof after an individual does include certain policies and considerations very well spelled out in Ms. Noor's memo. It does note, and I do want to make sure that if anybody in the public has questions, it does note groups should not be in a position to influence the process by funding past or future operations of the building or facility or section thereof. And therefore, I would like to make sure that as we move into the public hearing, if my colleagues see so fit, that we are open to considering this request, really, I think it doesn't need more than the weight of Celeste's amazing legacy and her contributions to the city. I think the extremely generous offer from the Gar Trust can and should be considered separately, not as consideration for renaming, as the charter very, very clearly spells out. So if there are no objections or further comment, all in favor of moving this to a public hearing, please say aye or raise your hand. Any opposed? Any abstentions? The ayes have it. Dewan, I'm going to assume that you're in favor as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'm sorry about that.
That's okay. Thank you. Thank you to the Norwalk Public Library Board and everyone who has, and the Gar Trust, Family Trust, and everyone who has given us this opportunity to really celebrate an amazing woman and her legacy. We'll see you at the public hearing.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next on our agenda is a request to schedule a public hearing concerning the matter authorizing Mayor Barbara C. Smith to execute any and all instruments to effectuate a boundary adjustments at the address listed here. And I am going to ask our Assistant Corporation Counsel, Mr. Callahan, if you can give us a little background on this matter.
Sure. Thank you, Councilman. I seem to have somehow lost my video feed, which is why you only see my name up there, but you don't have the technological savvy to fix it on the fly. So you're going to get my voice tonight. This actually was a matter that was raised in the prior panel committee prior to the November election. It actually passed. And when it came up to the law department, there were a number of legal issues that we needed to vet. Because it is public land, we did need to look to whether there was any financial assistance from the state or federal government that was provided during the history of the property and what impact they may or may not have regarding permissions or otherwise to effectuate the transfer. It also required a bit of work with the surveyor to get to a survey map that would facilitate the transfer, and a bit of legal work as far as preparing a boundary line adjustment agreement that provided the clarity necessary for this. In the process, doing sort of a postmortem of the approval and understanding that I will need to work with the owner's lender to get a partial release of the mortgage on the property, because we will be exchanging a portion of his property will become the city's property, and a portion of the city's property will become his property. That there were some procedural defects in the process that was filed initially. And so this is really just to clean that up. So this is a matter that's already been approved, it's been fully vetted in the legal department, and we're just here to do a bit of a housekeeping to comply with a quite onerous statute regarding real property transfers of municipalities. If anyone has any questions for me, there is a memo, I believe, attached to the agenda that explains a bit of this, including the underlying reasoning for the transfer, which includes saving some beautiful trees and allowing for a better configuration that for the owner's property, and a better configuration, quite frankly, of Fedora Farm. So with that, if there's any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But again, this is really, in my mind, just a cleanup of a procedural matter.
Thank you, Darren. I forgot to officially move this item, so I'll do that now. What is the second time around, and open the floor to Mr. Frere.
I'll move it.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so it seems relatively straightforward. This has been done before. We wanted to make sure that we do it by the book with state statutes, and anything that saves a tree or two makes sense in my book. Are there any comments, questions from my colleagues? Seeing and hearing none, all in favor of scheduling this public hearing, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Item moves unanimously. Thank you. And thank you, Darren. Moving on. Item D asks us to authorize Mayor Barbara C. Smith to execute a land use restriction agreement and negative pledge agreement in favor of the state of Connecticut, Department of Economic and Community Development in connection with 7 Academy Street, the site of Carver Center in Norwalk, Connecticut. I'm going to move this item, which I am assuming is a de rigueur a motion that we need to make to allow Carver to continue its operations at its current site. But I invite is it Mr. Callahan?
Yeah, thank you, Councilman. This is a pretty straightforward matter as well. In the sense of it's not unusual when you apply for financial assistance from the state. They do always require a land use restriction and a negative pledge. Their encumbrances on the land. Effectively, what they want to do is preserve the monetary contribution for a sufficient period of time to avoid a waste. And the only little unusual quirk here is that we actually are not the applicant for the financial assistance. It is the Carver Corporation who is the applicant. And the reason being is that the Carver Group owns the building, and they operate and own that building pursuant to a long-term land lease from the city. The city owns the underlying land. It's the only situation that I'm aware of for the city of Norwalk where we own the land and have done effectively just short of a fee land lease. But it happens to be the case, and in order to facilitate the Carver's completion and closing of their financial assistance application, which is close to $5 million, is obviously going to a very positive cause for the work that they do. It's necessary that we facilitate this end of it, get the approvals so that they can finally close and get their funds from the state of Connecticut. I did invite Novelette and Clinton from the Carver. They may be in the lobby. If you have questions, I'm sure they can answer them. They would provide detail on what the money's being used for, but it's to the extent you deem necessary. In my mind, this is just a very straightforward procedural vote to facilitate financial assistance funding. And it has no functional effect on the city of Norwalk because, again, we've land leased this for well beyond the restriction periods of the instruments that we would be executing. So as a practical matter, it has no impact on city land rights.
Thank you, Darren. I think everyone here is familiar with the wonderful work of the Carver Center. But if Novelette or anyone from the center is here tonight, I do want to invite them to share. Going once, twice. Are there any questions or comments from my colleagues? Go ahead, Miss Edie.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say that the Carver is very near and dear to my heart, which probably a few of us on this call. I grew up there. That was where I got my first job. That's where I got my office experience. We were in a youth development program ran by Mr. Richard Fuller and Johnny May Weldon. They were like our second parents. That's how we got our exposure to college. He took us in a van and drove us all through the South to different colleges, and that's how we experienced college tours. And mostly everyone who came through that youth development program, we called YDP, everyone went to college. I was grateful for the program. It kept me in line, and I just wanted to express that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Edie. Mr. Degenshine.
I just wanted to say, if it's appropriate, I would move the motion forward to proceed.
So moved. Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? I would just like to say, if Nicole is the example of what the Carver is capable of, then you don't need any greater proof that this needs to go forward. So hearing and seeing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. All in favor of approving this authorization, please say aye or raise your hand. Any abstentions? Any opposed? Great, we will move this forward.
That's my last matter for the committee, so I'm going to sign off, but thank you all, and happy 2026.
Thank you, Darren. Happy New Year. The next item on our agenda is another authorization to authorize the Mayor, Barbara C. Smith, to execute an agreement with ETT Environmental Services for the Police Headquarters Fuel Island Pump Replacement Project for a total not to exceed $128,000 from accounts numbers noted. I will move this motion and invite Mr. Lowe to give us some more information.
Thank you. I'm sorry. Neil Rennie, he's the staff person that responsible for this project, but at the same time, he's not available tonight. So I'm going to provide information, but this is somewhat, I don't want to use the word straightforward, but some pretty basic. The police station, police headquarters has 2 fuel pumps. I think that there's a picture of the fuel pumps. The station was constructed in 2005, so it's about 20 years old. And the fuel pump is deteriorated, and the island is deteriorated concrete, and there's a metal thing around it, kind of stuff. So we got the city allocated capital budget money to repair and replace it, kind of thing. So we went out to bid. My backup memo provided the summary of the bid numbers, and we're looking to award it to this company. I think it's $138,000 if I remember correctly. Basically just replace those gasoline pumps. It's so much straightforward in terms of the scale of the work. I don't have any more detail about it, and something we need to do.
Thank you, Alan. It's about 140,000. I think that includes the contingency, and so I will open up the floor to questions, comments from my colleagues. One thing to clarify, Alan, I think this came up earlier, for anybody watching, especially any incoming council members, when we approve, if and when we approve expenditures like this is something that was included in last year's capital budget approval, correct?
Right.
Or in this current year's?
Capital budget, just for everybody's general information. The city have 2. I know some of you that have been council members, you know, from previous membership kind of thing. But generally speaking, the city have 2 types of money, right? Operating budget and capital budget. Operating budget is annual money. So when after a year that money, the account disappear, and the city will capture any extra residual funds in there, and that's what the mill rate is based on. On capital fund, it stays in there until such time the finance department or BET, if there's money left over from a project, then we revert back to the city. It could be 3 years, could be 5 years later, kind of thing. So it stay with the account. So when you ask the question whether last year, this year, I really don't know. I believe it's probably approved April of 2025, and it's a current budget year, and we are looking to implement the project. So again, it could be 2-year-old, 3-year-old money kind of thing, but at the same time, it stays in the account, it doesn't go away.
Thank you. That does answer the question. I didn't. It was more not so much of the timing, just to clarify that this has been an approved capital expense. We are just now being asked to approve the actual dollar item and the vendor.
Yeah, if you don't mind, I will just say something else since we're talking about this stuff for the first time sometime. Typically, whether it's a recreation park and DPW or building management, it's very common for the council to see a construction project, and we typically do a separate part B of the action. We do a 10% contingency so that it give the authorization to the department to issue change order on contract with a scope change or the cost increase, whatever it may be. So there's ability for staff to implement those changes, again, within 10% of the construction money. There are times a department may ask for a little bit more, especially on like a historic renovation project where there are things that are known behind walls and stuff like that, that like environmental remediation and things like that, that we may ask for a little bit more than 10%. But then typically the department we have to make the justification why we're asking for more than 10%. So it's interesting that, when you see something more than 10%, we should provide the council with an explanation. For major construction project, for like this project that I work on for like, $30 million, $100 million, whatever it may be, for building construction project, a lot of time our request is not 10% because that's a substantial dollar amount. So we typically feel that a 5% would be sufficient, but there are times that our contingency is actually less than that, could be a 3.5%. So we will look at the budget amount that we have and try and manage that. And also we figure the type of project we're doing, how much is renovation versus new construction, how much earth excavation we need to do and the site and all that stuff. So the percentage contingency is not very consistent for a large project, but we do take a strong effort to figure it out, to come up with a number that's reasonable. I don't want to allocate contingency money, but I don't want under it either. So there's a balance of what we do in terms of those larger projects. So don't be surprised when you see a contingency for a $30 million project. We only ask for 5% or 3.5% kind of thing. There's a lot of thoughts behind it. The length of the project, because the longer it is, where the demolition existing building, we're gonna run into a lot of environmental issues and stuff. All that take into consideration when we come up with a contingency amount as part of the approval process. So that's just for general information for the committee.
Thank you, Ellen. Are there any other comments or questions on this? Seeing and hearing none. Did we move? Did somebody move the item? I can't remember. Would somebody move the item?
I'll move it.
Thanks, Jim. Any further comments or questions? Hearing none. All in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any abstentions? Any opposed? Okay. Now we come to an item F, approve the naming of the South Norwalk Elementary School as the Dr. Ruby Shaw Elementary School and refer the recommendation to the City Council for final approval. This is the other end of the process when it comes to naming buildings or part thereof after individuals. This has already gone through a public hearing. We are being asked tonight to approve this onto the full council. Can someone please move the item and we can open it up? Jim?
I'll move the item.
Thank you. Are there any comments, questions, discussion on this item?
Just very, very quickly, this naming of the school came up probably in October, November of last year, which is a couple months ago. And there's a number of discussions, and also the land use and building management held a public hearing. And generally speaking, there's a lot of support for it. And Councilwoman Young is here tonight again to just provide some general information. Well, she can do whatever she wants, but but at the same time, I'm just teasing. I'm sorry. But at the same time, what happened since the public hearing? We actually referred this item to the Board of Education. The Board of Facility Committee reviewed it and recommended it and went to full board, and the board has since recommended the naming. So that's why I come back to the Land Use and Building Management Committee. And the last step is go to the Common Council. So this would be the subject to this committee's recommendation to refer to the Common Council. This is the last step in terms of before I get the full Common Council approval. So Ms. Young, I'm sorry, that's actually Colin's call too, but
yeah, go for it, Alan. Yes, Ms. Young, we'd love to. I know this has been something that you have been a champion of and a very thoughtful commenter on. If you'd like to add any thoughts tonight, please do. I think we may be having some audio issues. Okay. Well, we'll see if it comes back on. But in the meantime, I think this is a great opportunity for us to hopefully move this process on to one of its final stages of consideration by the full City Council. I would just say, appreciate everyone who has been part of the process to this date, including participating in a public hearing and including sending their comments in. And I will say on a personal level, I do, having had the chance to get to know both Dr. Shar and her family, I do, personally support this renaming as well. Okay, Darlene, can we hear you now? All right, we're gonna let you talk about it at the full council meeting. Are there any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of moving this to the council, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any opposed? Thank you so much. Ms. Young, we'll hear from you at the next meeting. And that takes us to item G1 and G2, which is Land Use and Building Management Committee acting as a school building committee confirms to incorporate the installation of rooftop photovoltaic system as part of the state-approved new South Norwalk School capital construction budget, and B, to proceed with bidding of the installation work, and C, thereafter to submit a change order request by Newfield Construction to the City Council for approval. And 2, to authorize to increase design contingency with Tecton Architects Design Services contract for South Norwalk School for an additional amount of $56,147.72 for additional design services in the account noted. Can somebody please move this item? Jim?
I'd like to move the item. And
Thank
also,
you.
Darlene just said that she was having some trouble getting through. So she just wanted to explain why she wasn't saying anything.
Thank you, Jim. Technology works until it doesn't. Alan, these items involve adding, what is the word? Photovoltaic items to, there you go, to the Norwalk High School and South Norwalk Elementary School. Is there anything else we need to know about this?
It just I provided a lot of information as part of the backup, including the initial analysis. I came up with this idea back maybe 2.5, 3 years ago, before at the beginning of this project. I was trying to make energy. I try to generate as much as green energy as we can So you look at the backup material, there's actually a assessment evaluation from our engineering consulting team that we were going to do a rooftop system as well as a ground mounted system. I thought that among other places in town, I think especially South Norwalk, it's very difficult to find open land to do a ground mounted system, because the ground mounted system is less expensive to build. So I thought that there's an opportunity, especially in the area that we identify as the upper portion of the site where there's no ADA access to that portion of the property, and we weren't going to bring the public up there all the way up there. So I came with this idea to do a ground mounted as well as a rooftop system, and I approached the South Norwalk Electric Works, SNU, on that possibility and feasibility. As it turned out, I didn't realize at the time there's a lot of regulatory and business as well as business strategy SNU has. I don't mean to speak bad of it, but it's just that they are a municipal utility company. They are exempt from deregulation. Back when the deregulation of electricity was and gas also, I guess, was set in place kind of thing. But there's various limitations of what we can and cannot do. The original proposal and analysis, we will potentially generate about 1.4 million kilowatt hour a year. The school, generally speaking, which projected to somewhere around, I think, 900,000 kilowatt per year. And we would have generated more electricity than we use on the property. But the conversation gone on for about a year and a half to 2 years, and SNU has been every bit of interested and committed to find a way to do this. However, the challenge is that as a utility company, they can buy the power at a much lower rate. And by the time we do this, the construction cost is such that per kilowatt hour is higher than what they get the electricity from. In fact, the SNU second taxing district actually took a vote on it. They're willing to lose $25,000 a year, capped it at $25,000. But in the event they lose more than that, the city would be financially responsible for anything overage in terms of additional costs than the $25,000 a year. The way it was set up, what would have been set up was that the system will be tied to the SNU's grid, what they call it before the meter. So that when the system will generate electricity, they will backfeed the grid before the meter. So what that means to the city is that when we use the electricity for the building, which is behind the meter, not in front of it, we will have to pay full electricity costs to SNU. But meanwhile, we're using the ground and the rooftop to generate electricity. But that benefit go to, if there is one, it will go to SNU directly. So the city would have been put up the land and the building rooftop, yet we would pay full utility costs. And if in the event that the system will lose money, we have financial responsibility for additional costs. And I didn't think that's responsible spending on taxpayers' money. I know it's an environmental benefit, but not financially. In fact, it would be a financial burden, especially if we put up the land and the building, yet we don't have any financial benefit from it at all. So my recommendation has been, and through working with SNU, they couldn't find any other way to do this. So actually, SNU came in to the land use committee probably like 6 or 9 months ago and explained that the relationship and why it didn't work for them and why it wouldn't work as a joint venture. So it's not us and them kind of thing. We were partnering to find some way to do this. So at the end of the day, I wouldn't use the word abandon. I would say the proposed joint venture did not work out. So at the end of, you can see a couple of the memos I have as part of the backup package. I have one more option that's available to me, which is the city will build this. Instead of, again, this conversation gets a little longer than that. We typically do our solar projects through a power purchase agreement with the private sector because we do not get tax credit as a municipality. The Biden administration actually executed a legislation that we are able to, the city can actually get tax credit, but the Trump administration has eliminated that. So we cannot get tax credit directly. So we had to go for a private sector to build it for us, and they can access the tax credit so that we can write down the cost of the construction. In the event, so my other alternative with the SNU and the city's relationship, joint venture, did not work out. My only option is the city building it, but the financial would not work, because typically when you do a solar project, we would get federal tax credit for the private sector, and we would get incentive for utility company. SNU does not collect, unlike Eversource, they do not collect more money just to issue incentive back to the customers, kind of thing. So their incentive for this project would probably be $5,000. The construction cost estimate about $850,000 to $950,000. So that the incentive is little to none, kind of thing. So overall, so the only solution I have is that convince the state that the proposed rooftop solar is part of the ongoing construction project, and that after we finish the project, the construction right now, we have sufficient balance in the budget to do the rooftop solar project. So we finished the project in September. We still have residual funds in the state approval. So I requested from the state approval to do the solar project under the state money approved project number. And they had recently in December agreed that we could do it. So we are eligible for 60% reimbursement for the rooftop system. Therefore, financially will work for us. So instead of going to the private sector, we're actually going to build it, and we're going to maintain and operate it. As part of the attachment, I also provided a financial summary on my calculation. It's not done by a private sector or a sole developer. I actually prepared it, and I actually gone through the numbers with finance department with Tom Ellis to make sure that the numbers are utilized. It's makes sense. And based on the debt service of the city for the 40% that we would have paid, financially it works for us. So me and him walk through the numbers, and we think that my calculation or projection is accurate, to the extent that it's accurate, and there is financial savings to the city. So I am moving forward, and with the design, which is part B of this. I have requested the engineering firm to start designing, and also in order to do this analysis, they had to initiate a process in terms of start calculating and doing all the things they need to do to get it ready so I can analyze this. So bottom line is this, that we are looking to be able to implement a rooftop solar project for South North School, but it's not a leased system for the private sector. We are going to build it. We have approval from the state to do it as part of the reimbursement grant for the construction, and we're eligible for 60% reimbursement, and that's why the financial aspect of it works. So right now, the engineering firm is doing specification for me, and we're going to go out to bid through the construction manager, and we will do a change order from the construction manager's current guaranteed maximum price to implement the project to the extent possible. I look to do the installation this summer, assuming that the panel could be manufactured and delivered and be installed this summer. Ideally, I want to do this summertime because there's less impact on the school operations. One comment, or one other final comment I want to make. All this will come through. Once we go out to bid, when the number comes in, we'll come back to the committee and common council for full approval after this. So you have another chance seeing these numbers and approve it. One question that came up about is why do we do this project like not immediately after we do a school construction project? On the existing building, it's a little bit challenging. There's a city hall. We had looked at potential putting a solar system on the roof. We typically do this right after we do a roofing project, because a roofing system, a rooftop solar system, in today's technology, manufacturers suggested that a solar system can last up to 30 or 30 plus years, which is great, right? But the power purchase agreement that we do with private sector is typically 20 years. What determines the life of a rooftop system isn't really the life of the panel. It's really the life of your roof. Because our typical roof is about 20 to 25 years. After 20 years, we start having leaks and stuff like that, right? Even the warranty is 25 years. The problem is that after 25 years, even the roof, the solar panel could be 30 years or plus 30 plus years. The problem is that around 25, we start looking at replacing the roof. once you take it off, we never will put that system back in because you know you put spend all the money, take it off, and put it back in to last for another five years kind of thing. Also, in 30 years, 25 years, 20, technology is going to be different, and then also the degradation of panels through the years that you loses value. So I'm jumping around a little bit. One of the reasons why we don't do a rooftop solar system right after we install roof, we usually do it minimum probably like 6 to 9 months afterward. Because every time we put a new roof in, the joint seams and stuff, there's always miscellaneous leaks here and there where the flashing is done properly. So I really want to go for one season of wear and tear, like a better word here, to make sure that all the miscellaneous problem that during a new construction may have, when the seam may not be done correctly, and we find all those leaks and stuff before we actually put a rooftop system on. Once you put it on, you try to find leaks, it's painful. And also you got to shut the system down and all that. So I want to go for one season, whether it's summer or winter or fall kind of thing. I want to go for 6 to 9 months at least before we actually implement a rooftop solar system, because that would get all the kinks out before we actually put it on. So there's a very rational thinking behind it, that we don't do it right away. It's by design, by intention, so that we give the new installation, make sure that there's no leaks in the roof, heavy rainstorm and snow issues and stuff. We get through all that before we put the system on. So that's where we are. And again, we are prepared to. I'm reviewing the specification right now. We are prepared to go out to bid probably within, I would say, 2 weeks. And then the bids will come back after another a month from now. And then we will come to this committee with a proposal to see how much it costs. And then we'll go for approval for a change order allowance, so that we can amend the guaranteed maximum price from the construction manager, which is Newfield Construction, and to implement this project, hopefully this summer. If not, the latest will be the fall this year. That's basically a quick summary. Again, there's multiple letters in the backup package, as well as financial calculations and strategy that we developed, but that didn't work out. So it's pretty comprehensive in terms of energy and, well, not energy, the process it went through into analyze it, the effort that went into analyzing what worked and what doesn't work. Again, one last thing I want to say is that I don't want anybody to mistake that SNU wasn't helpful. SNU is extremely helpful, and in fact, they want to do this because they don't have a lot of opportunity. I'm just speaking for them a little bit. These are not their words. That they don't have a lot of opportunity to do a solar project as a utility company. So this is an opportunity that the city and SNU can do something together in terms of energy generation. But at the same time, it's they made every effort to work together to make it work, but it's just financially it doesn't work for them. I think they pay around 7.5 cents per kilowatt hours as wholesale, and this system would cost, generally speaking, maybe I would say around 10 to 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So it'd be losing money all through the process, and they just can't justify all that financial burden to do this. So I think that ends and again, there's a lot of backup information in the package. There's analysis, there's financial analysis, or so as design analysis that went into this. I mean, I've been working on this for like 2.5 years, so it's not that I don't want to do it. It's I want to do it, but it's just the reality is it doesn't work. So anyway, I just want to stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan, for that quick summary. I know I see my colleagues, Mr. Lopez and Mr. Degenshine. I just wanted to really, I think, summarize a little bit of what you said, Alan, because we did hear in public comment tonight that we should really stop to consider the efficacy of doing the carport solar system in both locations. And so I think what I heard in your explanation is that in exploring those options, we found that it was not just financially not viable, we would be potentially losing money on that, and that the rooftop systems as proposed are actually very efficient in terms of energy generation, right? And we make sure that we get the roofs right before we put the panels on, and that as of now, there is a very likely potential for the rooftop installations to get more than 50%, possibly 60% reimbursement from the state. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Alan. Now, quick question with respect to SNU. So it sounds like as long as they keep their prices low, have no real built-in solar incentives, is it going to be impossible to work with them on any future solar projects unless they change their financial structure?
It's a very interesting question because I have the similar question with SNU representative. They also SNU is actually part of have a relationship with CMAQ, which is a conglomerate or whatever it is of this I believe there's 6 municipal electric district in the whole state. And they get together, so they use the CMAQ, CEM, whatever. It's an entity that's created to provide technical support to the 6 municipal electric districts. So they have better buying knowledge and power in terms of going out and buy electricity. My conversation with SNU, again, this I think, at the end of the day, I think it's best thing to ask them directly. But generally speaking, is that I think it's very difficult. In my working with them for a year and the effort they put in, at the end of the day, it's going to be very hard for South Norwalk resident or potentially for a taxing district resident to actually do residential is a little different, right? But in terms of these larger projects, it's very hard to make it work. So a company may want to do this and do a rooftop system at a potentially a financial loss, but they're willing to accept it because it's a public relations position they want to take. But financially, I think for South Norwalk resident, it's very difficult. So I think if you want to get more into it, I don't want to speak up for them because I think they have every interest to encourage green energy. But at the same time, financially, I'm just because the resident get billed, I believe it's 8.5 cents, 8.3 or 8.5 cents per kilowatt hours, and if it costs them 10 cents or 12 cents a kilowatt hour to bill, it takes us some time to recover your money, and potentially at 15, 20 years later, it's not. If you're interested want to do it, you can always justify some kind of financial strategy that may work, But year 21, 22, you're actually getting real savings kind of thing. But again, as a resident, you're not thinking about living there for 21 years, And so it's like for next 15 years, I want to live in this house, I'd be potentially losing money. So again, see, what we do is something a little different because we typically, the city, try to minimize our capital expenditure on a construction project. So we do this leasing program, right? So we have private sector go out, get tax credit, and then build a system and with incentive, and we pay for the electricity to generate, right? So we reduce our capital costs or financial burden to go out borrow money to do this, right? But private sector, for a small homeowner, if they can potentially get tax credit and they actually put up capital money. I don't know how they would do it, but it's challenging for South Norwalk as a community because they got low electrical rate. I think that's one of the
right.
Ironic,
that makes
right?
sense. Like
you got good rates, so like by the time you put a solar center, it costs you more money, kind of thing. It's hard. It's hard to. I mean, Nicole may have a better understanding of this because she's involved in this a little more than I do. But at the same time, I went through this together with SNU, and again, they're fully committed to do this together, but we just couldn't find a way that logically, financially makes sense to them.
Right. Yeah, thank you so much, Alan. I appreciate that answer. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Mr. Degenshine.
Well, I want to thank Mr. Lowe again for that fantastic and very thorough report. What is left in question for me is what percentage of the energy demand for each of the schools will the solar panels, the rooftop panels, provide?
During the design phase, the design engineer projected that this building will use about 900 somewhat kilowatt hour per year. The actual number, you won't know. I mean, this is a design kind of calculation. So for last 4 months, we've been tracking I tracked actually the electrical bills since I think it's August, September, October, November. So there's 1 month is a high heat, high cooling season, and then it tapered down a little bit. For those 4 months with 1 peak and 3 shoulder season for 4 months, the total kilowatt hour use is about 200 kilowatt hours. So since there's 1 high month and then 3 medium and low month kind of thing, so I just multiply by 3 times for the year. So that means there's 3 peak months in there kind of thing. It came out about 600 kilowatt hours that I'm projecting annual consumption is 600,000 kilowatt hours. And the original design estimate is about 900 plus, right? So in my memo, I talk about 600 to 700. One of the things that we need to consider is that the school right now is not fully occupied. Okay, so we have probably about 60% occupied. But then you look at the electrical consumption from mechanical system. Generally speaking, we have full utilization. But the only thing that's less is actually lighting, because we're not running classrooms. But 40% of classroom, we're not running light all day long kind of thing. But mechanical system-wide, air conditioning and stuff, we are actually running the building in full. So the projection was 900 somewhat, and right now for the 6 months since we've been occupied, I'm projecting that we are about 600,000 kilowatt a year. But eventually, when the building get fully utilized, I would think somewhere around 7 to 750. I think that I'm making some very loose consumption assumptions here. But so this system that we put in, I think it generates about 300 somewhat thousand kilowatt hours. So I'm projecting that what we generate is about 40 to 45, maximum 50. I don't think it will go as high as 50. I think it's between 40 to 45% of the electrical consumption of the building. So one thing I also want to note, I think it's important to note this, that being an urban community, if I'm building the same school in the suburb of Connecticut, where elementary school, 1 story, if you build a 60,000 square foot building, you have that much rooftop space to put solar system. You can be as much as 80% of your energy consumption or more kind of thing. But for us, we do a 2-story building here. So a rooftop square footage is half the amount that you would build a school in a suburban area. And also we have all these rooftop equipment on it and a smaller footprint. So it's easy to say that we were trying to generate more electricity on the rooftop, but there's because being an urban area, our ability to generate the same kind of electricity as a suburban area is very different because they got more footprint, building footprint to put system on top of the roof. So I think it's kind of interesting perspective in terms of actually it's not even perspective, it's reality that for somebody building a 1-story school versus us building a 2-story school, our ability to generate electricity on rooftop system, generally speaking, is half of what they can do a school that's on a single-story footprint. So I think that's a reality a little bit.
Well, I like the fact that you've been monitoring this from the standpoint of a lower demand season, and it's probably a little bit conservative. And I'm happy about that. Once we get into the longer daylight hours, it'll be producing more. In addition to that, there's a summer in which I assume the school is not going to be used as much. There won't be as much lighting, and the cooling may not be as demanding because it won't be for the comfort of occupants, since there won't be any occupants in it. The other question that I had is, did I understand that there's also a fossil fuel aspect to the heating and or cooling of the school?
Yes. I'm not sure how much time we have to go through all this stuff, but in recent years, the engineering industry, because of heat pump technology has been improved. Traditionally, when you do heat pumps and stuff like that, at cold temperature like last week and this week kind of thing, they're not efficient because you can't just extract so much energy out of 10-degree air kind of thing. But it has been improving for the years. in the engineering design community, we've been going to electricity more. In fact, these buildings that we're doing right now is about 80% or so electricity. For two things. One is that for larger spaces like auditorium, cafeterias, and gym, electric equipment is not as efficient in terms of cover large spaces. So you get a heat pump and running to classroom kind of thing. When you get to large spaces, it's more effective and efficient to run a gas-fired equipment, because the BTU that comes to generate and stuff like that is more efficient. So when you go for different design engineers, they always recommend, even though they are very aggressive in terms of turning everything electric, it's that for larger spaces, they still want gas-fired equipment because it's more, you can generate, the equipment is not as huge, and you can generate the energy out of it better than an electric system. The reason why we go electric because of heat pumps, that's one reason. The other one is that in the industry mind, see, if you go to ISO New England, if you go onto a website and look at what the Connecticut energy is generated by, there's nuclear, there's fossil fuel, there's hydropower. You go through all the analysis. Our electric prices are not cheap. So when we convert these buildings 80% electricity, it's potentially costing us more money. But the profession is looking at it this way, that in 5 years, 10 years from now, the future electric generation would be greener. More greener, that's not the right English. In 10 years from now, that's what the engineering, today's engineering profession is betting on, that in the future, the electric generation will be greener, and then we get the benefit in the future. But financially, I think it's going to cost us more money in today's world, because having run all these buildings on electricity, it's financial, it's a challenge. But again, the green component is really how the electricity will generate in the future, and that's why everybody's betting on that using electricity now, setting up this building as an electric building. Generally speaking, the 80% of electricity, it's a greener thing to do in the future. But right now, it's not really that green, you know. So I think I don't know what's the right thinking is, what's the wrong thinking, what's the future going to hold. But at the same time, that's the premise that they're designing these buildings for. So we are heavily electric right now.
Well, I agree with the thought process. It is a juggling act, because we do have to consider that we have constituents who pay taxes. And it seems that you've settled on what will be the most effective way to serve our community.
Yeah, I still remember the conversation we had on Jefferson School. Jefferson School was built in the 1970s, I think it was, kind of thing. And it's one of our last electric school that the entire building is electric. And for the 1980s and 90s and 2000, we had a lot of criticism. Why do we still have electric school in the building system? Yet we're building all this new building electric. So again, I just want everybody to understand that, you know, where we are in terms of strategy and how we're building these facilities. So again, we are 80% electric and 20% still gas, because only for the larger spaces.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Jan. Mr. Freire.
I was just to summarize here, that we're looking for about $56,000 to do some more analysis to get a design out of this. And that's, if we get that, it'll then, and we agree with it, then that gives us the green light to go ahead and spend, what is it, 780,000 for the panels. And then that's going to generate how many kilowatts a year?
I think it's 300 somewhere. I forgot. I didn't read the memo before. I wrote it down, so it's in there somewhere. I think it's 300 and
which will be about 30% of the building's estimated consumption.
Yeah, I think it's about 40 to 45%.
Well, I thought the consumption was about 1 million kilowatts.
Yeah, but that's the engineering design projection when we design the building. but the actual
All right,
use
so
of
let's say it's 30 or 40%,
Yeah.
35 to 45%. Okay. And you also mentioned that there was some other ground mounted panels that could be on the face of the hill. Why would we not include those? What's the obstacle there?
Couple of things. The SNU has some requirements and criterias. So the way that the regulation set up, SNU has the maximum allowable generation by a property owner is 70% of your design load. When we add the rooftop system and the ground mounted system, we are probably like 100 and making it up here, 130%. So we exceeded that limit. So we at the city cannot do it. It has to be SNU.
Okay.
Because then
so this gets back to the municipal utility
right
issues. Okay.
The second,
okay, I got it.
Yeah. The second issue is that because of deregulation, SNU is exempt from deregulation. So the typical way we do the city for all of the project for Ponus, for Ponus School, for Jefferson, for Cranberry, and for I forgot what the other place, Narrow School. We do this lease system, right? So we have private solar developer come in, build a system, generate electricity. We pay by kilowatt hours to them. So really a debt service, generally speaking, right? So technically we actually buying power from a third party. The way that the state, the SNU as a municipal utility company, we as a consumer in those areas are not allowed to buy third-party generation. So It's like SNU resident cannot go out similar to Eversource territory. I can buy power from Texas. Within SNU territory, you can't go out and buy power separately for generator. So in a way, we go through our normal process of solar development, and we go for the private sector to build it. We actually buying power from a third party, which is not allowed under SNU's territory. So those are the complications that we face.
Got it. Thanks.
Thank you, Jim. Are there any other comments or questions? All right, seeing, hearing none, I just want to reiterate the thanks to Alan. I think it's a lot of analysis and calculation that has to go into how to make the right way forward here. And I appreciate the due diligence that you put into this. If there's no further discussion, I will call for a vote. All in favor of approving items G1 and G2? Any abstentions? Any opposed?
Sorry, I thought to interrupt for 1 second. I just a general note that this action had 2 items on it. The first part, it's this evaluation, accepting that we are looking to go with a rooftop only kind of thing. That does not require Common Council action. So the part A does not go to Common Council because this. Also interesting is that when school construction project, the state recognized the school building committee as the entity. So typically, a committee had no voting powers in terms of approving things, right? You are a committee or Common Council. So you can vote on something and refer to Common Council. The final decision is by the Common Council. But for school construction project, the state required the city to actually take some actions as far as to designate this committee as the school building committee, which the state recognized. So under that circumstances, this committee can make a decision and does not necessarily, but typically we still send everything to Common Council, but technically we don't have to. But we do for contract purposes, for like construction bids and stuff, we go for Common, because the mayor has to sign a contract. That's why. But for something like business, like something like this in terms of decision on, build 2 classrooms versus 4 classrooms or whatever kind of thing, that does not necessarily go to Common Council. So the first part of this action tonight, it does not go into Common Council. The second part does, because it changes contracts, allowances for contracts. So that go to Common Council. So what we'll be doing is we will put the of the two A and B, we will put the part B for Common Council action, but not part A. So I just want to understand if you don't see it, because that does not require council action.
Thank you for that distinction. I appreciate that, Alan. Okay, item H appears to be a technical correction of a city council action from November 17th, 2025, correcting a typo in the account number to properly reflect the actual account. The new action includes the correct account number. This is authorizing Mayor Barbara C. Smith to execute an agreement with O'Riordan Megani Architects for architectural services for the Calf Pasture Beach Camp renovation. Given that this is a technical correction, I'm not sure it needs. I assume this was already approved. We're just correcting the account number.
Yes, it was just typed incorrectly. Yes, unfortunately.
Okay. In the interest of time, I guess we can perhaps go forward without additional discussion, unless anybody really wants to. Would somebody like to move this technical correction forward?
I'll move it.
Everybody, okay. I'll give it to you, Brian. Is there any further comment or discussion on this? Going once, twice. All in favor, please say raise your hand.
Thank you.
Any abstentions? Any opposed? Okay. We'll get that account number right on the second time. And our final action item tonight is, I just learned, not necessarily something that has to go to the full council, but we are going to discuss it tonight. The Land Use and Building Management Committee, acting as a school building committee for Norwalk High School, confirms the recommendation to proceed with the installation of rooftop photovoltaic systems. The Board of Education proceeding with the execution of the power purchase agreement, excluding a carport PV component. And I know we were talking about South Norwalk in the previous item, but I'm going to assume a lot of the considerations are similar here. So first, I'll just ask if anybody would like to move this item. Okay, Nicole, thank you. Alan, I assume that this really, as a building management committee, to confirm the way forward here, does not require council approval. Is that correct?
Yes, because it's not a contract that needs to be executed. It's a strategy in terms of putting solar. And also, the reason why the Board of Ed is involved is that when we do a lease system for a power purchase agreement, the payment for electrical generation is coming out from the operating budget of Board of Education. It's like similar to they pay for electricity out of the operating budget. So that's why for the years I decided that it should not be the Common Council city side to execute this agreement, because we are not making the payment. So we want to make sure that the Board of Ed is fund these properly and also make the payments. That's why the Board of Ed is actually the party that execute these power purchase agreement. And also it's kind of an interesting perspective. You may or may not agree with it, but generally speaking, I don't think it's for the city Common Council, city council to authorize the Board of Ed to do something, because they are a separate entity. So the council do not have jurisdiction over what contract they sign and not sign. So I don't think the council should be directing them to sign a contract. It's just I think that's my perspective on things. It's not really in any way, but that's why I don't think there's a requirement for us to take an action by the common. Besides we being the school building committee, besides that, I mean, I wouldn't know what to ask the Common Council to vote on in terms of like, you can't authorize Board to sign contracts. You know, it's not our place kind of thing. So, but generally speaking, I think the concept of we are supporting green energy and generation and stuff. We want to be aware of it. It's including our construction package or design packages. And for Norwalk High School, we always been looking at a carport system, but because these projects take so long and we could not apply for the tax credit. The company could not. Bergy is a designated solar developer. They couldn't submit for incentive monies and tax credit until in a timely fashion. They couldn't do this 2 years ago, kind of thing. So occasionally, I would ask them for update in terms of how the energy regulations are at the time, kind of thing. So maybe every year or so I get an update from them, say what would the financial performance looks like if we are going to start this process of applying for tax credit and incentive. And it changes because I think the industry, the approval industry, the utility company had been changing in terms of their support and money available to support solar projects. I think the policy has been changing in recent year, and in fact, at one point they even called it a negative incentive on solar projects. So this stuff is changing constantly. So we are requesting. I recently requested updated financial performer for both rooftop and carport system, and those proposals performers are attached to the agenda right now. So for the rooftop system, we projected in 20 years we have a total saving of about $2 million. I'm pretty sure that's what it says, right? And then for the carport system, it projected there's a slight loss in 20 years. So financially, it doesn't really make sense to do it. And also, more importantly, because our construction schedule, Joanne, can you show us the site plan? We are under a very rigid and defined construction schedule about finishing the building in fall next year. At the same time, we got to redo the parking lots, but then we got to use the parking lot for staff and for student parking. At the same time, we had to put in all the utility under the parking lot, as well as a water retention system in order to reduce sending storm water into the city's overall system. So we got to hold the water, and the only place we can put it is actually underneath the parking lot. So the ability to do a carport system has huge footings. They're like 9 feet deep and 36 in diameter. And the upper structure, which is a cantilever structure with steel beams and everything else, it's a substantial cost. So, and also we also have a construction issue because how and when we do this interface within our site development schedule is so complicated, and how doable it is, we're still struggling with it. So between that and no real savings, it's a bit of well, it's not a bit of it's a significant obstacle that we got to figure a way to overcome. So since we're not saving any money and the challenges are the site constraints and everything else, I'm recommending that we don't do the carport system on this project, and we will do the rooftop system. The rooftop system will generate 1.4 million kilowatt hour per year. So when you compare to like South North School, which consume between around 900 kilowatt, it's a substantial generation. I mean, so we will generate enough energy to feed a whole elementary school plus. Again, this system we put on this roof is substantial. There's probably pictures of the financial performance that show how many panels are on the roof, and you can get really into it. But it's 1.4 million kilowatt hour per year, so it's a significant generation. It's probably end up to be probably around 40% or more of the building. Well, the building is projected about maybe 4 million, so it's about 40% of electricity generation that of the building uses. But again, compared to other buildings, that 1.4 million kilowatt hour is almost like 1.5 or more of an elementary school. So it is significant, even just the rooftop system.
Thanks, Alan. That's very helpful. It's good to see the visuals with it as well. Without trying to direct the Board of Ed what to do, I would like if someone would like to move this item. Jan, thank you. And if there's any, is there any further discussion on this? All right. All in favor, please say aye or raise your hand. We're not telling them what to do. We're just doing it together. How about that? Right? The money's all coming from the same place anyway. That takes us to the end of our action items tonight. It also takes us to almost 9:30. And so I do want to put out there if there's interest, because I do think it would be helpful, as we noted earlier, to get a in-depth financial update on some of our ongoing construction projects, particularly the two biggest ones. Would folks be interested in tabling tonight's construction update till next month?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, with that in mind, I mean, unless I'll put it out to CSG, is there any major updates that you wanted to share with us tonight?
No major updates, but if you wanted me to just very briefly click through some photos, I can give you a high level look at what's going on out there.
Maybe, if you don't mind, maybe 3.5 minutes.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't talk as much.
Sorry,
as
everybody.
It should be easy.
We'll make sure next meeting we will make up for it. We make it like really short next
Yeah,
week.
I'll let me share my screen and I will.
I then waited for 2 hours or hour and a half, whatever it is. So
All right, so we'll go quickly. So South Norwalk Elementary School, as you've probably seen, these are some finished photos. I didn't include all these in the package originally, because I didn't realize when I prepared this that we had new members on the committee. So here's the main entrance of the school with the student drop-off. Here's one of the finished classrooms. These were all professional photos done after the project was completed. This is the main stair set that you go up as you walk through the main entrance of the school up to the second floor. I'm going too quick, let me know, but I know it is late. So here's one of the breakout spaces with a glass view down into the cafeteria area. To the right here, this is a sliding partition that would open the cafeteria to the gym area. And off to the right here is the upper grades, 4th or 5th grade, lockers in the corridors and classroom doors. That's really what we have for South Norwalk. Norwalk High School PTech. You'll see different phases of the project as we go through the photos. There's one end that looks like the exterior is pretty much complete and they're already working on finishes on the inside. And when we get to the far end of the school, it's still building structure that hasn't been closed in yet. So here's a photo right in the common area in the center of the school, the heart of the school where the cafeteria will be. This stair brings you up to the second floor, and there's a nearly 4-story ceiling in this area. This is the PTech wing. Here's our group rooms in the end with the large glazing. Over to the left here would be the main entrance, and in the background is the Norwalk High School wing, which you see when you enter the high school campus now and you go up Calvin Murphy Drive. This is the interior in what I believe was the Norwalk High School wing. You can see the overhead mechanicals are in. We have some hard ceilings getting framed in. We have wire hanging for our acoustical ceilings that'll go in. Here's one of the electrical rooms. A peek inside of one of the classrooms. You can see that the accent wall to the left here with the box out. This is where our the smart monitors go. The walls are painted, the ceiling grid is in. Most of the overhead mechanical rough-in and electrical is in place. Sprinkler heads. A nice clean electrical room with equipment that's being delivered and installed. And now we get kind of to the this photo taken from the roof of the P-TECH wing, looking towards Merrimack. Down in this area on the first floor is the entrance to the weight room area. The main gym is over in this space with the snowy roof. That's the main level on a full height. To the right here is the auxiliary gym, which is located on the second floor of the building. We get down to, obviously, it's taken right after the snow. We have some temporary heating measures, but you'll see that there's fewer exterior building envelope finishes in place. There's some openings still. This is the band wing. To the left over here would be the pool wing of the school, and there's an entrance that's just behind this tarped area at that opposite end of the school. And this was an old photo. I'm not sure how that stayed in there, but this is the area we just looked at that was further along in this photo. This was an older November photo. And besides a few schedules for the HVAC projects, I don't have any new.
Let me just very quick, Dan, let me very quick just go for the HVAC project. Total, there's 6 buildings that we're doing HVAC improvements. 3 of the project is substantial finish by before the cooling season starts, which is Brian McMahon, Silver Mine, and Brookside. So generally speaking, those projects will be finished and ready for the summer season. Nyack School, Marvin, and Wayne School, we'll be going through construction all through summer. So there's no summer school in those buildings, and we are continuing to work on those buildings during the summer to install the mechanical air conditioning system in those buildings. So we'll provide a more detailed update next month. We'll get together. Okay.
All right.
That was under 3.5 minutes. Great job, Dan. Terrific. Thank you for the quick overview. And yes, we do have some new members on the committee, including myself. And so I think this is a really great opportunity when we meet in March to go through some of these projects in greater detail, including as we mentioned, updated financials. Both for our benefit and for the public. So thank you, Dan, and everyone at CSG. Are there any comments or questions on any of those updates? If not, I think that's the end of our agenda. We made it. I do want to thank Alan, Joanne, and all the staff. I know it's a lot to get through, and I really do appreciate the thoroughness and the rigor that we approach this work with. I think it's all in the public benefit, and it's only 9:30. Still get a good night's sleep. All right, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you, Jan. All in favor? All right, we'll see y'all around town. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks a lot.